And there's just about 2 shots too many of his eyes narrowing as he looks over at his son and figures something out. And I felt that that scene, which was supposed to be the payoff, could have been better edited.
Mel Gibson's young son has just been kidnapped in Central Park, and that scene from Ransom, one of the 5 new movies this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Mel Gibson is the reason to see Ransom because he gives a strong performance in a movie that is otherwise not all that it could be. He plays a maverick airline owner whose young son is kidnapped during a science fair in Central Park. Gibson's wife, played by Renee Russo, fights panic.
Sean? Sean Mullen, please come to the judge's stand.
At first, Gibson is prepared to pay the $2 million ransom asked by the kidnappers, and he's ready to follow instructions from an FBI kidnapping expert played by Delroy Lindo.
We said no! Any demands, but come up. Now, you just agree. You didn't know he's in charge. Your only priority is getting your boy back. Get your boy back. You follow me? Now, you've got to give us some time, Mr. Mullen. You have to speak to your son, ask for some sign that he's alive, any information you can get. Then tell me he has an allergy. He has some medical condition. You want to know what kind of weather is he in? Is he indoors? Is he outdoors? Are we set? Go!
The movie deliberately makes no secret of the kidnappers' identities. They're a group led by crooked police detective Gary Sinise.
Yo, you get me a lawyer, right?
You get your own lawyer.
The kidnappers include his girlfriend, played by Lily Taylor, and others who debate what they'll eventually do to their captive.
Second, man, Clark, you never said nothing to me about killing no kids.
Do you understand what is going on now? You do not joke with this kid. You don't play with him. You don't talk to him.
Don't talk to my brother,
He's
all
not
right?
your pet. This is real.
Meanwhile, Gibson becomes absolutely convinced that the kidnappers have no intention of ever letting him see his son alive again. So he conceives a desperate plan.
This is what waits for the man who took him. This is your ransom. But this is as close as you'll ever get to it. Instead, I'm offering this money as a reward on your head.
The Ransom screenplay is based on a 1956 movie of the same name starring Glenn Ford. This version, directed by Ron Howard, is ambitious in the way it tries to show the kidnapping against the backdrop of Gibson's entire life. He's fighting bribery charges. He believes in doing everything himself. He has to battle with his anger. All of those elements add up to a rich performance by Gibson and a story that's entertaining without, however, being absolutely riveting. I was disappointed, for example, by the final confrontation scene between Gibson and Sinise, which I thought with better writing and editing could have generated a lot more suspense. But on balance, thumbs up for Ransom.
I had the same reaction, Roger. Actually, I like the last scene, but it is Gibson. Gibson buys this story and the big plot twist that occurs in the story, and he sells it. He sells it within the context of the world there, and also to us. The part that I didn't like is the opening stuff, where you see the child in jeopardy. Now, I know it's a kidnapping thing, but to having to sit through the shots of the kid tied up in bed and mouth taped and all this, that stuff to me is just so repellent and so easy and cheap that I thought, well, now what's the purpose of this? Here's a $50 million, maybe $70 million Hollywood enterprise focusing on a child in jeopardy like that, and I thought too much, distasteful.
Well,
until Gibson kicks in, does it really work?
I didn't enjoy those scenes. I don't think, however, that the movie did linger on them. As for the end scene, which you liked, I felt that Gibson, one of the problems is it takes him too long to figure out what's going on, and there's just about 2 shots too many of his eyes narrowing as he looks over at his son and figures something out. And I felt that that scene, which was supposed to be the payoff, could have been better edited.
I like that, and I like the scenes that follow that. The finish, I think, is pretty strong.